So hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to this MySQL complete course series. And in the last video, we covered about data types. We learned what kind of data goes into each column. Today we are going to learn about something called as how to create tables and how to put rules on those columns using the constraints. And we're also going to see how to create a table, how to add the columns, how to alter the table, how to update the table. So all the stuffs you're going to see. Let's get started. Okay, so now let's get started with the video, create table and constraints. So now we'll learn first what is the syntax of creating a table. So you can see here, create table syntax. We use this word create table and then we have to give the table name bracket, column name, data type, and constraint for that column, column 2, data type, constraint for the column, and so on. So likewise, we can add many columns to a particular table. Now, what are the constraints? We have different constraints. What is the primary key? As we have discussed earlier, what does a primary key mean? It's nothing but a unique identifier for that row. So whatever record we will have that row, for that row, to identify that row, we will have a unique key known as a primary key. Then a primary key cannot be null. So a primary key, if I'm considering this column 1 as a primary key, we cannot keep that column as a null. We had to give some value that column. And the primary key is only one per the table. So for one table, we will have only one column as a primary key. We cannot have more than one column as a primary key. So this is the constraint for a primary key. And what is a not null constraint? Not null constraint means a particular column must have a value. Null is not allowed. For example, I wanted column 2 to be not null. It is not necessary that the column 2 must be a primary key. It is not a unique identifier, but I want that column should not have a null value. Then I can use this constraint that is not null constraint. And what do you mean by unique constraint? No duplicate values. It will allow null values, but no duplicate. I want a particular column so that throughout all the records that has, the record should not get repeated. So there should be no duplicate values. For example, let's say email ID. So email ID, there should be no duplicate email IDs. For one student, the email ID will be different. For another student, it will be different. So for the entire column, the email ID will be different for everyone. So there will be no duplicate values there. So I can use a unique constraint there. It may happen that a particular student does not have an email ID, so it can be null, but I don't want a duplicate value. Okay. Now it multiple per table. We can have multiple columns with the same constraint of unique, but we can't have the multiple columns of primary key because it is a unique row identity. Then default sets a fallback value if none is provided. Okay. Uh, default, what does that mean? If I'm assigning a particular column as a default constraint, if for that column no value is provided, the default value will be provided. So that's the use of the default constraint. Then check constraint, custom validation rule. Okay, so what does check constraint do is, uh, if I want to have, for example, my database is about uh, people who are eligible to vote. So their age. So while inserting the data, it will check that whether the age inserted is greater than or equal to 18. So if the age is less than 18, the data will not get inserted. That is a check constraint. It will check whether the particular constraint value is eligible or not. Then is a foreign key. Now, what is a foreign key? This is basically used to link to another table's key. Now we'll learn more about this foreign key while demonstration. Auto increment. You have already learned about auto increment in previous video. So what if I do student ID int auto increment? So it means my student ID is 1 year, then it will be 2. For the third record, it will be 3. For the fourth record, it will be 4. For the fifth record, it will be 5. Like this. It will get auto incremented. Okay. Uh, it will automatically generate the next number for each new row. It will never reuse the deleted number. It is ideal for the primary keys. Okay. Next, default constraint that we've discussed now. So let's say here created at timestamp. Default is current timestamp. We have also discussed in the earlier video about this timestamp. Default current timestamp means if I'm not providing the value of this timestamp, the default current timestamp that is it will take the value of the current timestamp what of the system has. So that is what we use a default constraint. Check constraint. So here you have to check whether the age int check age is greater than 0. So it will check whether the input is greater than 0. It should be not 0, not negative, greater than 0. Marks, check if the marks are between 0 and 100 only. Grade, check whether the grade is in this list. So from this A, B, C, D, F and not other. So this is how we can use a check constraint. Then uh, first we will demonstrate this in the workbench. So let me share you the MySQL workbench now. Now let us demonstrate the whatever things we have learned now, how to create a table and what are the different constraints you can apply to a particular column in the table. So before creating a table, we should have a database. So let's say I'm creating one database and we have already known how to create a database. Create a database, let's say college DB. So I'm creating this database. Now I'm going to use this database. So I'm going to use the command use college DB database name, run, executed. Now I am in the college DB database. Now here I have to create a table. How to create a table? Create table, table name. Let's say table name is students, bracket. Now I have to create columns inside the table. So what's my column? Column name, data type, and constraint. First, we'll insert a column name. So let's say I want columns like first is student ID. Student ID. Let's say I want it as an int data type. And for the constraint, I will use auto increment. Okay. Then let's say I want name of the student, a data type varchar. Okay. And I want that the name should not be null. So I will use not null constraint. Next thing, I want email varchar and it should be 150. And I want the email should be unique. So I will use unique here. Next, I'm going to add column as age. For age, let's say I'm going to use tiny int. And I want the age should be greater than check whether the age check. So how we're going to use a check constraint. So check whether my column age is greater than 18 like this. Since this is the college database, I'm using 18. Okay. So this thing we can see. Next, okay, these many columns I have added. Let's say I want the student ID column as a primary key. So we can add here it keyword primary key, or we can also do this thing. We can here also add the keyword primary key and column name student ID. So whatever you want, you can do. So either this primary key or this syntax you can use. Any one syntax you can use. Okay. So this is how I created the table. Now I will execute this. So your column will comma will not come. Execute. So executed. Now we have created a table. Okay. Now now what I'm going to do, describe this table, students. What you can see now here, describe students. So in this you can see that I have 4 columns, student ID, name, email, age, with the type, data type is integer, varchar, tiny int. And null. Is the column null? No. Now see here, student ID, I have not mentioned here not null. I have not mentioned here the not null constraint, but since it is a primary key, it is by default not null. Since primary key, whichever column is a primary key, it should not have a null value. So by default, it will be not null. Then it is a primary key. And what extra things I've added? Auto increment. Then name varchar 100 not null. That's why a null no. Rest nothing is added. email varchar. Now here I have not added not null option. So here null, yes, it will support the null values, but the unique, but it is a unique. That's why the key is unique. What is a unique key? That every record should have a different email. There should be no duplicates. Then age, tiny int. So tiny int, null, yes, null values are allowed, but the value, it will check whether the value is greater than 18 or not. It should not be less than 18. If it is a null, okay, but it should not be less than 18. That is what check constraint will do. Now what I will do is we will just uh, insert values into it. Insert into. I will learn one more command how to insert values in a table. So once we have created database, we have created table inside the database, we have defined the columns, data types, and constraints also. Now we have to insert a value or record inside a table. So for that, we have a command like insert into table name. So which table you have to insert? Students table. What we have to insert? Now there are two syntax, two ways you can write. So here you have to provide the values of a column. Sorry, you have to provide the name of the columns where you have to insert. What are the columns inside the students? So we have student ID, we have name, we have email, and we have age. So these are the columns inside. Insert into students, columns, column names, values. Now what values we have to insert inside that? So values again. Now in this order you have to write the values. So for student ID, let's say I am 1, I will insert 1. For name, let's say I'm inserting, since it is a varchar, so I want to insert a text, so XYZ. Then for email, again it is a varchar, so let's say xyz@gmail.com. Okay. Then for age, it should be greater than 18, so let's say 20. So this is how I have inserted the values. I will run this command now. It is executed. Now let's say whether it's inserted or not. Display. For display, use command select star and the table name. Table name is students. So select star from students. So select star from students. So you'll get here the first value, student ID 1, name XYZ, email xyz@gmail.com, age 20. Now what is the another way to insert the data? So another way to insert is, here I'm only going to provide insert into students. I will not provide the column names, values, but here whenever you are providing the values, it should be the value should include all the values. Whatever columns are present, all the values and also in order. So you are going to use 2, comma, let's say ABC, comma, ABC at rate gmail.com, comma, 23. Okay. Now see, run. Executed, select star from students. So second, so you can see second record is also inserted. So here I did not provide the column names. I directly added the values. Okay. Now, let's say you have to insert into students. I don't want to insert all the 4 columns. I want to insert the name and the age. Only these columns I want to insert. So how I will provide the values? I will provide the value only for the name and the age. So let's say for the name, I'm providing PQR, and for the age, I'm providing 19. Now let's execute this. Execute. It is executed. Now, why it is executed? See, uh, my email name is not null. So it means it cannot be null. That's why I've inserted that name. Email, it can be null. Age, I have provided greater than 18. And student ID, it is a primary key. It cannot be null. But since we have used auto increment, it will auto increment the value. So whatever values you have used 1, 2, it will auto increment by 1, the third record, that is 3. It will become 3. So now let's see here. Select star from students. We will get your student ID as 3. Name as PQR. Age as 19. But email as null value because we have not inserted email here. And since email, we have given only unique constraint. We have not given a not null constraint. So the value can be null. Now what we will do, insert into students. Now I will not insert the name, I will insert the age and I will insert the email. Okay, so values, let's say 20, comma, email, mno@gmail.com. So whenever you're inserting the text, it should be in like this. So now what happens? See, the error is coming. What the error is coming? The field name does not have a default value. So we are only inserting age and email. But this is the name column, it cannot be null and it doesn't have any default value also. So we cannot insert this record. We need to give a value to the name column because it doesn't have a default value also and it cannot be null also. So that's why there is error here. Similarly, if I try to insert name, comma, age, comma, email, let's say the name is MNO. I'm trying to insert now age as 15. It is less than 18. Now what will happen? Let's say again error, check constraint students check is violated. So check constraint, it will check whether the age value is greater than 18 or not. If it is not greater than 18, it will get an error. So I hope you understood how this check constraint works. Okay, now I will show you about the unique constraint, how unique constraint works. Now I'm going to add one more record. Let's say insert into students. Name, I will not add this, directly add the values. Let's say uh, ID 4, then name of the student is ABC. And now I'm going to add the email that we have already used. Let's say xyz@gmail.com. So this we have already used in the record one. Okay. Now see what happens. And age is let's say 19. Now I'm going to insert this. It will again throw you an error. What? Duplicate entry for key students.email. So in the students table, in the email column, there is a duplicate entry of xyz@gmail.com. So that is what unique constraint is. We have applied unique constraint to email, so it is violating. So we cannot add this email because it is already existing. We cannot add this. We need to add a unique. Let's say ABC and it's capital ABC. Now if I insert this, then it is what it is showing. Insert into student values. Again, it is duplicate entry. So what it is saying that capital ABC and also small ABC, both are for me the duplicate entries. Cannot add this also. Let's say I'm going to add A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Now it will not throw you the error. And now it is one row affected. Okay. We will now understand about the default constraint. For that, I'm going to create one table. Let's say create table courses. So create table courses. In this particular table, let's say I have some columns. Let's say first is the course ID. I'm giving it a data type is a int, auto increment, and also it is my primary key. This is clear. Next, let's say course name. What should be the course name? For that, I'm using data type varchar, let's say 150, not null. Course name should not be having a null values. Then duration hours. What is the duration of that course? Let's say in default 40. What you are using here constraint of default. That means if I have not given any value to that column, it will be defaulted to 40. Let's see, I will demonstrate you. Is active. Is active is a course active boolean. Let's see here also I'm using a default value as a true. Means if I'm not given the value of the is active, then it will be default to 1 or 2. Let's say next is difficulty. Difficulty, let's say I'm going to use the data type enum. What was the enum? We can choose only one entry from or one single entry from the list of entries. So let's say it is a beginner course or it is an intermediate course or it is a advanced course like this. If nothing is input, if the input is nothing, we will write a default as beginner course. Okay. Next. Next, let's say we have course is created at what time. So let's say I'm using a data type as a timestamp. Default will be my current timestamp. So this is how I've created one table. Let's run it. Yes, successfully executed. Now we'll add some values inside it. First, we'll describe that table. Let's say describe courses. Let's run it. So what you can see here, what are the different fields inside it? Course ID, which is a primary key, course name, varchar. Now see here, I'm using the course name as not null. So that's why null value is not provided. Null value is not provided. Duration hours int default 40. This can have null hours, null value. What do we mean by this null? Yes, default 40. I have given the default value as 40. But if a user explicitly provides the value of duration hours is null, then it will be null. If the user doesn't provide any value, then it will be 40. This is the difference between the default value and the null constraint. Okay, I will show you an example. Let's say I'm going to add insert into courses values. Let's say course ID is 1, course name is SQL, then duration hours. Now here I'm mentioning null, then it will be null. But if I have not mentioned anything, then it will be default 40. Let's say now I'm mentioning 56 hours. Then next is a is active true. Then next is difficulty. Let's say I'm going to use advanced and created at current timestamp. So I'm not going to use anything. So what if I insert this? It is showing wrong because the column count doesn't match the value of the count row. Since we have not used here all the columns. So we have not used all the columns. So let's say use all the columns. We'll use the now keyword here to get the current timestamp. Now we'll insert this. What is the unknown column advanced in the field list? So here it is advanced. Okay, we need to provide it in. It is a text, so we have to provide like this. Now I guess it is. It will work. Okay. Yes. Now I have inserted the course. Says let's say you displayed select star from courses. See now what you can see here. One SQL 56 is active. One difficulty advanced created at current timestamp. It is a current value. Current time. Okay. So have you understood about this? Now we'll see some what how default is working. So for that, let's say if we insert, so insert into courses. I will not insert all the values. I will insert only the course name. Because why I'm inserting the course name? Because my course name is not null. It cannot have a null values. So I'm only inserting the course name. So values, let's say my course is Python basics. Rest thing I'm not inserting anything. Okay, I'm only inserting this particular thing. It is executed. Now I will display. So let's say what happened here. Now, see, course ID is the auto incremented, so it becomes 2. Course name I have provided Python basic. Duration I have not provided, but default value is 40, so it becomes 40. Is active I have not provided, default is true, that's why it comes 1. Difficulty I have not provided, but default was beginner, that's why it is beginner. Timestamp also I have not provided, but default is a current timestamp that you can see here. So all the things were default that you can see here. Now what we will do? mm, Now I'm going to insert another value, insert into courses. And here I'm going to give the course name and also insert difficulty. What is the difficulty level? Okay. So I'm going to give the values. So course name, let's say JavaScript Foundation. And for the difficulty, I'm going to use intermediate. Okay. What what if I inserted this? It is executed. Select star from course, executed. Okay. So let's say I'm going to insert one more column like this. And here I'm going to insert for the uh, let's say default values, any duration hours. Duration hours. And in duration hours, I'm writing null. I'm inserting duration hours value as a null. Now let's say what happened. It is accepted. Select star from courses. Now you can see here duration hours for this particular course ID 4 is null. That means when the default value will work, if you have not mentioned explicitly about what is the value of the particular column, then the default value will work. If you have mentioned it as a null, it will remain null. It is a null. It is mentioned by the explicitly, it is mentioned by the user. So this is the difference between null constraint and default constraint. So I hope you understood about this null constraint, default constraint. Now what we will do, mm, we'll learn about more about the check constraint, what we have used earlier in the students table. Then I'm going to create a table that's student marks. Student marks. Okay. So let's say I have columns such as mark ID, int, auto increment, and primary key. Then I have column such as student ID. Okay. Student ID, which is not null. Student ID is not null constraint I'm given. Subject, I am given a subject such as int, not null. Again, marks int, subject int, sorry, subject should be varchar 100, not null. Marks int. Now I'm going to add a check constraint here. Check whether my marks between are between 0 and 100. So this is another keyword between. Between means it should be 0 and 100, between the 0 and 100, or 0 and 100 is also acceptable. Okay. Next, age in, let's say check whether the age is greater than 0. And one more column I will add grade. Grade, let's say char 1. Here I'm going to add check whether the grade, check constraint, grade in A, B, sorry, B, C, D, and E. So what does this particular line means? So I have a column grade with data type character 1. The check constraint is whether that grade, check whether whatever character this has, that character should be among these 5 characters only. It should be between, it should be either A, B, C, D, or E. It cannot be other character. So this is how I added, created the table. Now I'll run this command. So table is created. What happened? You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds. So what is the error here? Okay, I have not provided the data type here for the student ID. Now, and also here, varchar spelling is different. Varchar. We have not closed here the bracket. Okay. Now we have created the student marks table. Now we'll describe the student marks table. Okay. Describe student marks. So see, what are columns we have? Mark ID, student ID, subject, marks, age, grade. What are the data types? And mark ID, since it is a primary key, so by default, no null values. Student ID, we have mentioned it should be not null. Subject also we have mentioned it should be not null. Rest all others can have a null value. And this is a simple table we have created. Okay. Now we insert some values. Insert into student marks. Let's say I'm inserting student ID, comma subject, comma marks, comma age, and comma grade. So I'm giving some values. So what are the values? Let's say 1, maths, and let's say 85, 20, and grade as A. Okay. So if I insert this, execute this. So it is inserted. Now let's see. Select star from select star from student marks. Now what we get the answer? Yes, 1. We have not provided the mark ID since it is a auto increment. It default value is will be 1. The student ID is 1. Maths 8520A. Okay. So now what we'll do? We'll insert some values where marks are out of range. Let's say insert this particular thing. Student ID, subject marks, age, grade. Let's say value is 1. Then physics. Then let's say now marks should be between 0 and 100. Let's say I'm inserting 150, 20, and grade B. So if I try to insert this, there will be error. What is the error? Check constraint is violated. So it is going to check whether my value is between 0 and 100 or not. So it is not, that's why it is violated. Okay. Then what if I write here, for example, for age? Age I am writing minus 20. What if going to? Then also it will show us the check constraint. Student marks is violated. Marks is violated. Now I'm not going to support the marks. Let's say my marks are 90. Now age will be violated. Okay. Check constraint. Student marks. Check 2 is violated. Now here check 2 is violated. Check 2 is nothing but this check. That is age greater than 0. Okay. One more check we have graded, that is a grade. So let's say my age is not now negative 20 and grade let's say is G, which is not present here. So let's say, so here it will show the error that check 3 is violated. So check 3 is violated. Okay. So this is how errors are shown for the check constraint. So now whenever we add any data in the existing table, this check constraint will check whether the new inserts or updates, it should satisfy the check constraint, marks for the age and for the grade. Okay. Now we'll move on to the foreign key constraint. The most important constraint of all things is a foreign key. So what is a foreign key? It is nothing but it creates a link between two tables. A constraint that links a column in one table, which is particularly known as a child table, to a primary key of another table, which is known as a parent table. It enforces referential integrity. And what do you mean referential integrity? So it guarantees that the whatever relationship are there between the two tables, they're always valid. Okay. So how I can give an example? Let's say there is an enrollment table, enrollment table, which is linked to students to courses. Okay. So the student ID in the enrollment, it must match a real student in the student table. You can't enroll a student that does not exist. That's what referential integrity is. So what you have here we have to understand is the table with the foreign key. So now this child table courses and there is a parent table department. So the department ID is a primary key and department name is another column. In the child table courses, we have course ID is a primary key of this course table. There is a course name, but there is a department ID, which is a foreign key. Or this is nothing but whenever in a particular table, if there is a foreign key, that table is known as a child table. And the table which is being referenced is known as a parent table. So this table is referenced and this table's primary key is nothing but foreign key in this table. So this is my parent table and this is my child table. Okay. So now the foreign key column in the child must match the primary key in the parent. So whatever here, the foreign key here, it is the value here, it is the foreign key column in this child table. It must match the primary key in the parent table. This is what terminologies are there. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we will just build one schema to understand about this primary key and foreign key concepts, parent table, child table, etc. And then we'll come here and also see about some example where it gets violated. So let's go to the workbench. Now what I'm going to create is, first, I will create one parent table, that is a department table. Okay. So let's create. So create table departments. Okay. Let's say I have in that table department ID, which is int auto increment, and it is a primary key. Similarly, I have another column, let's say department name, which is varchar, and it is not null. And I also want it to be unique, not null. And also I want unique. So here I have given two constraints to it, not null and unique constraint. And I have one more column, let's say location, varchar 100. Okay. So let's say I'm giving a default value to it, such as let's say main campus, whatever. So this is how I've created the table. I run this command. So table is created. Now let's insert some values in this table. Insert into departments. So what are values we insert? Department name, we insert and location. So let's say values are. So yes, now what till now we have inserted, let's say one value. Now what if I want to insert multiple values? So to insert multiple values, what you can do is bracket. Let's say my first department is computer science department. Okay. And the location is, let's say, block M. Okay. Comma. Now I want to insert another value. Let's say my next department is maths department. And it is in block, let's say N. Another value I have to insert and comma, one more bracket. Let's say next department is my physics department. Let's say it is in block A, like this. So let's say I'm going to insert only these many values. Okay, lastly, I have to go here, semicolon, and run this command. So all these three columns will be inserted. Okay. Unknown column location in the field list. Log. Okay. Whereby creating the table, name got location. So we'll just use a location would be. Okay. Okay. So all either so all the records got inserted now. Now what we'll do, select star from department. Select star from department. So when we run this command, we can get here department ID, department name, and location of it. Okay. Now I want to demonstrate to you the foreign key constraint concept, foreign key concept. So now I will create one more table. Let's say create table. I want to get courses table. I have already created the courses table, I guess. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I will just drop that table which I have created, or I will create a new table. Let's say create table courses one. Okay, like this I will create. And here I am going to give columns such as, let's say, one is a course ID, which will be the primary key of this. So it will be in data type, auto increment, and primary key. Okay, auto increment and primary key. Let's say next is a course name. Course name it's varchar. Okay, and it should not be null. Okay, next. Now, next I'm going to write duration hours. Duration hours. Let's say in default is to 40. This we have created already. Is active. Boolean default is to true. And difficulty. Let's say difficulty. Difficulty enum. So I'll just copy this and create it at timestamp. Okay. Okay. So these many columns I've added. I have to add one more column here for showing the foreign key. Now I will add the primary key of the department table as a foreign key here. So I'm going to add here is department ID int not null. Let's say I've added like this. Okay. Now I have to make this department ID as a foreign key. I'm going to make it. So I have to write here foreign key to make the foreign key department ID. So in bracket department ID. Now, as I have told you, this foreign key is will reference to the parent table. So it will references. So this particular foreign key references to which table? References to which table? Departments table. And departments tables, which column? Primary key column, that is a department ID. So this is the syntax for writing the foreign key. So here, the department ID in the courses table, it is a foreign key which references to the department table's department ID, which is a primary key of the department's table. So you understand this. Okay. Now I will just create this table courses one. So it got created. Yes. Now we will describe this course. Describe courses one. Now what you can see here, when I describe the courses one, course ID, it is our primary key. What is a primary key? Let's recall what is a primary key. The value should not be null, the value should not be duplicate. Now what this department ID showing here key as null. What is the meaning of this null? It means that in this courses table, the particular department ID can have duplicate values, can have same multiple values. Because why? For a particular course, let's say my course ID for a particular course of computers, for a particular course, let's say SQL, it belongs to computer science department. Also, for course Python belongs to computer science department. So for same department, I can have multiple courses. So that's why my department ID value can be multiple. It can be duplicate. So it is not a primary key. So it is that's why it is showing MUL. Multiple values are allowed here. That's what it is showing. Okay. Now what we will do is once we describe, now we'll insert some courses here. So let's say insert into courses one. So let's say I'm inserting the course name, comma, department ID, comma, difficulty. Okay. So these all things I am inserting. Values. Let's say my course name is MySQL, comma, let's say the department ID is 1 and the difficulty is beginner. Okay. Now I've inserted these values. Okay. So what happened? Okay, spelling mistake is there. Beginner. Okay. Values are inserted. Now let's say I'm going to insert one more. So this value I've inserted for department ID 1. What was my department ID 1? Computer science. Department ID 2 is maths. Department ID 3 is physics. Now let's say I'm going to insert one more value. I'm just copying this, paste. So course name, department, difficulty. For the same department. Let's say for department ID 1 only, I'm inserting one more course, that is DSA. Okay, let's insert this. Is accepted. Okay. Now let's say I'm going to insert now one more data for department ID 2. Uh, let's say algebra. It's a maths department, algebra. So I'm going to insert this value. It is inserted. Now what I'm going to do is, see here. I'm going to run a select command, but this time what I'm going to do, see, select course ID, comma, course name, comma, department name, comma, difficulty from courses, join departments on department courses dot department ID equals to departments dot department ID. What all things I'm writing syntax I will explain you, and we also have a separate video on joins. But let's see what I'm writing here. Unknown column courses dot department ID. Sorry, courses one it is, right? Courses one, and here also it will become courses one. Now if I run this, what you can see here, course ID 1, course name MySQL, department name Computer Science, difficulty beginner. What we did is we joined the two tables and we displayed the course ID, course name from the courses table and department name from the department table. Now how this name came? For in the courses, only the department ID is present. Now this department ID got reference. It got reference to the departments table, and from the departments table we got a particular department ID's corresponding department name we got here. So this is how it worked. I hope you understood how we use the foreign key constraint here. Now, what is the syntax here written? How is join operation working? This we will learn in while learning about the join operations. Now we'll see some foreign key constraint violation. Sorry. Let's say I'm trying to insert a course with department ID which doesn't exist. So now what I'm going to do, insert course. Let's say department ID we have 1, 2, 3. Let's say I'm going to insert with department ID 5. So if I run this, what it throwing an error. Cannot add or update a child row. A foreign key constraint fails. Okay. So we cannot actually add a course for a department ID which doesn't exist. Now let us try to deleting a parent that has a children. So what I'm going to tell you is trying to delete, let's say parent. You have to delete a parent which has a child. So we have to delete a department which has courses. What is a parent here? Department, and courses is child. So let's say I'm trying to delete. For the deletion, we have a delete command, delete from department. You have to delete the parent, that is department. So you have to delete from departments where department ID equals to 1. Is this a parent which has a child? Yes. Department ID 1 means computer science department. And in computer science department, we have already inserted two childs. One is MySQL course and one is DSA course. So can we delete a parent which has a child? Let's execute this command. So you will get an error. What is the error? Cannot delete or update a parent row. A foreign key constraint fails. You cannot delete a department that has a courses referencing it. So the foreign key constraint protects the data from both the sides. So this is what the use of foreign key constraint. That's why this constraint is very important. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a table, create table enrollments. Enrollments. In this table, I'm going to add some columns. Let's say enrollment ID, which is int, auto increment, primary key. Okay. Let's say we have a student ID also. So student ID int not null. Then we have course ID, that is int not null. We have enrolled at say timestamp default to current timestamp. Okay. Now here I have to use two foreign keys. One is student ID and course ID. So what is the syntax of foreign key? Foreign key. So first foreign key is my student ID. References. Where is the student ID? The students table. So it references the students table student ID. Okay. And another foreign key I will insert. Foreign key, that is course ID, and it will be references the courses table, courses one tables, course ID. I hope this is clear. Now I will try to create this table, execute. So the table got created, table is created. Now let's say describe the enrollments, enrollments. So describe this table. Now what you can see here, how many fields are the enrollment ID, student ID, course ID, enrolled at. This is the primary key and these two are the foreign keys which can have multiple values. That's what it is saying. Okay. Now what we'll go. So particular this table has a two foreign keys. One to the students table and one to the courses table. Now this is nothing but known as a many to many relationship. One student can enroll in many courses and one course can have many students. So many to many relationship. So let's say now I'm going to insert into enrollments. Enrollments. Let's say I'm going to insert the student ID, comma, course ID. Both are my foreign keys, right? Values. What I'm going to write here? Let's say I'm going to insert three values. Student 1 has taken course 1. Student 1 has taken course 2 also. And student 2 has taken course 1. What I'm adding here? First student has taken first course. First student has also taken second course. And the second student has taken also the first course. So you can see many students have taken many courses. So there is a one student who has taken more than one course, and there is a one course who has taken by more than one student. That is a many to many relationship. So if I insert this, where is the violation? You have an error in the SQL syntax. So we have not put the semicolon. That's why here comma also I have not put. So I have not. So there was a syntax error. Now I will execute it. Okay. Now I will run one command. Select. I want to display the name of the student. So name. Then I want to display the course name. I want to display the department name also. And I want to display the enrolled at also. Now in this particular selection, I have used the enrollment table also, student table also, course table also, everything I have used. So I'm taking this from enrollments table because enrollments table has the foreign key. So my enrollment table becomes the child table. From this, I will get the foreign key as a student ID and the course ID. From that, I will retrieve the information from the parent table. So from enrollments, now I want to join two tables since I have three tables I have to join because here I also use department name. So I'm joining students table on where I can join the students table. What is common between student table and enrollment table? Student ID. Both the table has student ID. So I will join students on enrollments dot student ID equals to students dot student ID. Okay. Then I am also going to join courses table. So courses one. Now what is a unique thing? What is the unique thing between the courses and enrollments table? Courses ID, course ID. So I'm going to join the enrollments dot course ID is equals to courses one dot course ID. I hope this is clear. And next I'm going to join the department table. How I'm going to join the department table? Join on the departments on. What is the common between department table? I have common between department courses. In the courses table, I have a foreign key of department table. So in courses, department ID is equal to department ID. So courses one dot department ID is equal to departments dot department ID. So I hope you understood what we have done here. We have joined here three tables. So the enrollments table as a foreign key of student as a foreign key of student ID and the course ID. The courses one table as a foreign key of department ID. So this is how we have joined all the three tables together. Now if you run this, Let's see what happens. So, table college db.enrollments doesn't exist. So there is some spelling mistake, I guess. Yes. So here there is spelling mistake. That's why it was not executing. So once executed, now what you can see here. Name XYZ is the student name. Now let's see here. Student 1 has taken course 1. My student 1 name was XYZ. Course 1 was MySQL. And course 1 was in the department 1, that is computer science. Student 1 has taken course 2. Student 1, that is XYZ, has taken course 2 DSA. DSA was also in the department ID 1, computer science. Student 2, it was ABC. So ABC has taken course 2, that is course 1, MySQL. And that course belongs to which department? Department ID 1, that is computer science. See how we use foreign key concept to join all these three tables and how they are linked together. This is nothing but the referential integrity, how they are referencing to a child table, parent table, how their referential integrity is there. So I hope you understood all about how to create a table and what are the different constraints. The most important one was the foreign key constraint. Now the next part of this video is going to be altering the table. How to alter the table. So once the table is created, we'll need to modify it. For example, you forget to add one column, or else you have to rename the column, or you want to add a constraint. So for that, you need altering the table. You cannot, it's not that you delete the table and again create the table and again add the values. So there is an option for altering the table. So in this alter table, we have many operations. We can add a column, we can drop a column, we can rename a column, we can modify the column, we can add a constraint, we can drop the constraint. So these are many operations you can perform. Let's say I have to alter the table students, and I want to add one column, let's say phone number. So phone var let's say 50. This thing I have to add. So I'll just write a command, alter table students, add column, phone number, phone varchar, and data type. So this command is used for adding the column, executed. Okay. Now we'll just describe the student table, describe students. So here you can see the one column is added, that is phone varchar. Okay. Okay. Now what happened here is, when you alter the table, the new column is added at the end of the table. You can see the phone at the end is the last column. What if you want to add a specific column at a specific position? Let's say after email, you have to add the phone. So how you can do this? So add a column at a specific position using after. So let's say alter table students, add a column. Let's say city I have to add varchar. After which column? Let's say I have to add the city after uh, email column. So I'm going to write here after email. After email. Just like this. Run. Executed. Now if you describe the students, now it will not come below 4. It will come after email. So after email, you have got the column as city. So I hope you understood how to add a column. If you simply use add column, it will get added at the last. If you want at a specific position, you have to use the after keyword. Okay. Now next, what if you want to add the column at the beginning first? So there you have to use the keyword known as a first. I will just copy this, alter table. Let's say I want to add a column known as a profile pic. Okay, varchar. And now I want it to be first column. So I will add the keyword as first. If I run this and then describe the students, we'll get a first column now, not a student ID, but a profile. Okay. Next. Uh, Now we'll change something known as, okay. Now I have added some column phone varchar 15. What if I want to change now the data type? Varchar 15 to varchar 10, varchar 20. I want to change varchar 15 to varchar 20. So I'm going to do is alter table students, modify column phone varchar 20. So this way it will get modified. Now let's say describe the students. Now you can see here the phone data type is become now varchar 20 and not varchar 50. Okay. So the data type is changed. The existing data in phone is preserved. This is there. What I'm saying is, if my previous data was varchar 15, whatever data you have inserted earlier, now you have changed the data, but the existing data what was there, it will be as it is there, and the data type will be get modified. Now what we will do is, now see phone is not null with a default value. So when adding not null to an existing column that has nulls, you need a default or you need to update the nulls first. Otherwise, it will give an error. What I'm telling you is, when I inserted the phone column varchar 15, here I have not applied any constraint about not null. So it may happen that the existing data has some null values. So here, when adding not null to an existing column that has null values, so we can't update that. It will throw an error to us. Okay, so this is the one important point. Now we'll try to rename a column. Let's say alter table students. Rename column, for that you use keyword rename. Rename column. Let's say profile pic, whatever we had a column, profile pic to profile URL like this. I want to rename profile URL. So it's got executed. Now once you describe the student, it will now have, instead of profile pic, it will now show profile URL. It got renamed. Okay. Next, let's say you have to drop a column. You don't want any particular column. You have to drop that column. So let's say alter table students. I want to drop the city column. I don't want that. So drop column city. This is the command. So once you execute this, now run the describe students, you will not see the city column here. It's get dropped. Okay. Now column dropped permanently. Now you cannot retrieve the data whatever you have for that particular column. Once it is dropped, it is dropped. This deletes all the data in the column. You cannot undo that. Okay. Now what if I want to add constraint after I've created the table? Let's say the command is alter table students and I have to add a constraint, let's say unique to the phone number. So add constraint phone number, that is phone. But how you will add it is, I want a unique constraint to the column phone. This is my column name phone, and I have to give a name like this. Let's say unique student phone like this. Now if I run this, what it will provide? It is executed. Now I am just describing the students. See, so your phone number is now the key becomes unique. Okay. Now what this particular syntax means is, the phone has now a unique constraint. We gave the particular constraint a name. The name of the constraint is unique UQ underscore student underscore phone. Okay. Because if in future, if you want to drop this constraint, then we can use this name. We can use this name to drop this particular constraint. That's why it is very important that you always name the constraint. That's why we are added a constraint with a name. So let's say you have to drop this. So how to drop a constraint? If I have not used here any name, so it was very difficult for me to drop this particular constraint on the phone. So since I have given a name to that constraint, a unique constraint, I can drop it easily like this. So alter table students. Let's have to drop constraint, that is drop index. It is nothing but an index. And what is the name of that constraint? UQ student phone. Now it will drop the constraint. Okay, now if I describe the table, describe students, will not see now the unique phone. Unique key will not see here. Okay, I hope you understood. Let's say you have to do multiple operations in one alter table. Now, here what we did, only one operation we perform per alter table. Let's say to do multiple operation. So what you will do, alter table students, and let's say I want to add a column LinkedIn URL. LinkedIn URL varchar 100 200. Okay. I want to do one more operation, so I will just put comma and another operation. Add column GitHub URL varchar 100. Let's say I have to use another operation, modify column age. So let's say I want to make it tiny int unsigned. Okay. So if you run this, so this is nothing but altering table using multiple operations. Executed. Yes. Describe students. Now you can see that columns are added at the end. LinkedIn URL, GitHub URL. And the age column is now modified to type tiny int unsigned. Okay. So have you got it? Next, we already know about these commands, describe and show. Describe table, describe students. What the describe command do? It gives a quick summary. What are the columns present? What are the types present? Nullability, keys, defaults, extra. All this information it will show you. Now we'll understand about this. Show tables. Okay, what is this keyword? Show tables. If you run this, show tables, it will tell you which all tables are present in your college database. So currently I'm in the college DB. So tables in college DB, courses one, departments, enrollment, student marks, students. So these are whatever tables we have created today in this particular database. All right. So I hope you found this video very helpful. So let's have a quick recap what we have done throughout this video. So we have started with how to create a table. What is the constraints? Different constraints we look on it. Not null constraint, unique constraint, primary key constraint, then default constraint. Then what is the check constraint? Then foreign key constraint. We understood with the example all of these constraints, how to alter a table. What is the describe keyword meaning? What is show tables meaning? All this we have covered. So if this video helped you, do like, share and comment and subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon to get more such videos and notification to the videos. Thank you. Keep learning.